Why does business ownership complicate divorce? Owning a business and going through divorce can be an extremely complex process. You have to determine separate property from community property. Also, if your primary income is from the business, you have to determine what your income will be set at for child support and spousal support. Also, there are multiple ways to calculate the value of a business and how much should be part of the marital economic community. So it adds a lot of factors and adds a lot of gray area and uncertainty to a process that's rather black and white. How do you value a business in a divorce? Well, to put it simply, there are two different ways primarily to evaluate a business. Now, the most common way we have is that a business usually is not big enough and doesn't have enough enterprise value. So we're going to look at the revenue or the income that the business generates. If you have a sole proprietorship, an LLC, a partnership, we can look at the profit number at the end of the year. And if you're running an LLC and you don't take any income, we're going to look at just the profit at the end of the year as being a basis for your income. The other option, and this is what happens with more enterprise value businesses, larger businesses, is we get professionals involved. Usually we appoint a neutral. If the neutral comes back with something we don't agree with, you may hire your own personal business evaluator to come in and give us a value of the business that we can put on that balance sheet that is the marital economic community balance sheet. What's the role of prenups in protecting business assets? Prenups are a huge benefit to business owners. If you own the business prior to marriage, that business is presumed separate property. But if the business grew substantially throughout the marriage, your spouse may be entitled to payments to equalize for that growth. So essentially, they could look at it and say, I'm entitled to half the growth of the business during the marriage. What can a prenup do? A prenup can say, this business is separate property and will forever stay separate property, preventing you from needing to do this. And this is very important. We've seen a lot of business dealings, unfortunately, get unwound. A lot of really strong business relationships get put in a bad spot because you may be partners with 2 or 3 other people and they want nothing to do with your divorce. They do not want this divorce to impact the business. And they could find themselves with another partner that they never went into business with. How do we go about handling business debt in a divorce? So this is a pretty straightforward question. Is we would handle business debt just like we would handle personal debt. So we're going to look at the business as an entity, and if you set it up properly and it's an S Corp or an LLC or maybe even a C Corp, you're going to look at the business debt as part of the valuation of the business. If you have $100 million in assets and $120 million in debt, we're going to have to take that into account when it comes to what the business is actually worth. Now, when we scale that back to a smaller size, and let's say you run a single member LLC, well, there are times when that business debt may actually look more like personal debt and get treated just like personal debt would in a divorce. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur going through a divorce, I understand what you're going through. It can be an extremely challenging time and create uncertainty, not just for you, but for your business and your business partners. If you don't know what the next steps are, click the link below or give us a call at the number in the description, and we can set up a free case evaluation to discuss what your next steps should be.